I would say 15, 20 years from now, when it's really has matured, it's going to be right alongside other sports. Like when we moved here and my kids go to Clemens, we didn't have fishing and archery and bowling as
Oh
sports
wow.
in Virginia. So this is new to us, right? Like, hey, this is really cool. So, hey, what a cool opportunity, particularly for my youngest boy who's found his thing in archery. He would have never found that in Virginia. But 15 and 20 years from now, you're going to see esports at the high school level, and these
Exactly.
kids are going to be getting drafted or signing scholarships to go play at UAH, which is right.
And that's where we're kind
And
of
then
getting
there's
with
going to
it.
be professional beyond that. So this is like, for anybody that's having a hard time, this is no different than when the NFL and the NBA were trying to be something, or snowboarding was trying to be something, right?
Yeah, 'cause I'm
Or
sure people
lacrosse.
said-
Pick a club sport. Field
Exactly.
hockey, right? They all have these humble beginnings, and really work. And then there's even because you're in a prone position the whole time. Well, now there's chiropractic type stuff that might come less, carpal tunnel or just sitting in posture, and then you play for a long time. And there's probably a nutrition or some exercise, right? There's just so many elements that make this like, wow, this is not only like a new industry, but there's all these other things that are going to benefit from this in kind of a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you just rambled all that off there
Yeah,
because it's
please.
like those are all things that I'm like, oh, these are all huge points, and we've been there. We've talked about
Yeah.
all of it. Ironically enough, I want to hit on that last one because it's one that people will laugh at. We've seen it. Everybody laughs at it when we bring it up, and I even laughed at it at the beginning. I was like, that's so dumb. My marketing guy Blake, when we first made the company, he was like, we need to get some form of orthopedic care, some form of physical therapy, anything of that sense on board as a sponsor. And I was like, Blake, what are they going to get out of this, man? And he was like, think about it. Carpal tunnel, posture in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a huge thing. And we started doing research, and we actually see that on the professional side of esports, and esports is weird because usually it starts at the lower levels and works its way up. Well, it started at professional, and unironically, it might die at professional and then just go to collegiate and stay there. And we never really know. It's kind of been jumping around recently, especially with COVID and how much it could boom, but at the same time, it couldn't. And so all that kind of stuff that he talked about when it came down to like the orthopedic care and getting those kind of sponsors who could help kind of legitimatize esports as a whole. That was my goal, at least. His was more or less along the lines of maybe they don't know about it yet. And so it was really exciting to us to see that because we talked to them and they actually saw that and they were like, this makes sense. I mean, we do the same thing for office workers. Why not bring that into a sports field where, if anything, it'll be more intense? And we even see that a lot of them, like you mentioned, the nutritionist and the exercise, most, I hate to say it, but a lot of time when people picture, someone who plays video games for a living, they probably picture someone who sits in their chair all day and is very out of shape and, with the McDonald's bag and the Cheeto Puffs and they're just sitting there. It's really just not that. It's crazy to me because we actually had our most recent LAN. I met all the players. Some of these guys were the most in-shape people I had ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Like, we had a couple guys from University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and they just looked like someone you see them, you wouldn't expect them to be, a top-tier Rocket League player. They're in shape, good-looking guys. They're just there to play games.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are always shocked when they see that, I had some friends that don't know anything about esports stop by the event, and they were like, whoa. Like, this is not what I expected today. And it's because a lot of them, they train mentally, physically, and then they practice gaming in the other time.
Yeah.
And they have regular practice schedules. They have facilities where they go and practice. They have to hydrate properly. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that makes sense because your reaction time and your entire body slows down when you're out of shape like that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the bigger esports players, especially in like Korea, they run an absolute ton because it just keeps them going and keeps them going because over there it's extremely competitive. A lot of those countries and that side of the world they've adopted esports a lot more than we have, and they have it's intense. There's not just you're good at the game, it's you have to be physically, mentally tough. You have to be able to play the game for long periods of time. And it's honestly kind of crazy to me because getting into it, I was always, esports is cool. I love gaming. That's my thing. Never expected to get this in depth with it and realize there's this much science behind it and this much just preparation that goes into being on a competitive team.
Yeah.
So it's really just crazy to hit some of those points that you kind of brought up there, because some people I guarantee are like, they can just sit there, eat snacks, and play games, and it's like, well, they actually have to do some other stuff.